You know, welcome in. Talk over intro music. This is Bridging Civil Tension. Welcome in to Bridging Civil Tension, the one and only show with Phil Wallace. Phil is a father. Phil is an author, an entrepreneur. We've got his books over there. We can show you a clothing line guy, mentor, basketball coach, all around good guy. And for the last 3 years, Phil's been playing the African American portion of this show. And for that, we thank him. I mean, it's a stretch and good stuff, right?
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And today, I mean, you look more. You're dressed like Crystal Lake more than I am,
Man.
which is wonderful, right?
Sometimes I throw on films whenever I get home.
Yeah. Yes, Phil. Leslie, I agree. Phil is the best. I am blessed, and my life has not been the same since he's been in it.
Appreciate it. Amazing person. North Star Foundation helping out moms in the area. That's Leslie.
Leslie, thank you. Wonderful.
She'll be on the show.
And now I'm Kent. I'm the CFO, president, founder of DDOE, which is the owner of 216 Creator Studios and 216 The Net, internet radio right here. And today we always talk about, hey, let's get on the bridge. Let's talk about very, very intense things that are happening in our world. And our world is real America, right? And hey, Jen, good morning. Glad to have you with us.
Morning, Auntie.
And so you'll see that today in the description, why hashtag Ralph Yarl. Okay. Now this may, and I'm gonna be that guy today.
Ooh, which one?
I listen. Not. And it is, and I want everybody to know, absolutely disgusts me. It absolutely, I don't care. A 16-year-old, I've gone. I don't understand. Now, if you're not understanding who Ralph Yarl is, Kansas City, 16-year-old, great student. Mom says, "Hey, go pick up your twin siblings." They're at a party at 115th Court or something like that. He goes to 150. He goes to the address on the wrong street. It was 115th Street. He went to 115th Ave, whatever it is. So I want you to understand where I came from when I heard this. I've been through Kansas City. I've got friends who live in Kansas City. I don't. And what it is Ralph Yarl is a young African American, right? And literally, I think his family came from Africa, right? And now they're citizens and all that. And so he and the shooter, pew pew, is a white guy,
84-year-old.
Yeah, we've come to find out, an 84-year-old. And all of a sudden, he shoots Ralph in the face with a .32 caliber pistol, and then in the arm. Ralph never crossed the threshold. Now, in Missouri, I want you to understand, in Missouri, legally, there is the stand your ground law. Okay?
If you feel threatened.
If you feel threatened, and it's very particular if you read it. So I went and read it, and it's very particular. It's like, it's really more of a self-defense. If there's bodily harm being done to you or your family or whatever, you have the right to stand, to stand your ground. Good morning, Nate. How's that little baby?
Nate.
Oh yeah.
So it's Nike Blazers with the blue.
Yeah. Nice.
For you, Nate.
Nate, if you want to donate, tell him your shoe size if he wants to donate. Hey dudes.
Hey dudes, yeah. If you got a 15, 16, and some hey dudes, I'll take them.
Yeah, send them right here. We'll get them on.
Right? I'll be fine.
Hey SG3, how are you? Good morning. So Phil hits me, sends me a link, and I heard about it on the radio, and I'm like, this is just, it's horrible. No 16-year-old should be shot. So my question is, why is this news?
Why is it news?
Mm-hmm. Now, I want you. I mean, it came out. White shoots black teen for going to the wrong address. Right. So we describe color in it. Why is this news?
Big socks. True. I think for me more so like not even the race side of it was he was able to shoot him, then stand over him and shoot him again, and not be arrested.
He shot through a glass twice, so they didn't stand over him. So he shot twice.
The story that I heard was he shot through the glass for the first one, and then came out and shot the second one.
So I read Reuters or whatever this morning, and they said he shot through a glass door twice.
Okay.
So either way, again, right? Either way, young, good-looking kid. You're not. I'm guessing not baggy pants.
But he doesn't look like a grown.
No. Oh yeah, no.
He looks like a 13,
right.
16-year-old. He looks younger.
That's why I say the kid,
non-threatening version of a 16-year-old.
Yeah, a Boy Scout.
And this kid had to go down the street asking for help, which no one aided him.
3 houses he went to, and the third said, "Get down on your ground, face down on the ground."
Right.
So the people who actually called 911 told him to get down on the ground, face down, before we come up. Yeah.
As I'm bleeding.
As he's fighting for his life, right? It is bad that I was upset at the label, at the title of the articles I read. Why can't they just label "Man Shoots Kid"? Okay, so, hey Jerry, good morning. Okay, so,
morning Jerry.
So if you caught any of the last show, because this has just been eating away at me, right? I think it's gross. I think it's inappropriate. If you own guns, hallelujah, you own guns, right? And so this 84-year-old man basically says through the glass door, "Don't come round here," is what Ralph said in his statement. "Don't come round here," and shoots him twice. That's racially motivated. Okay, that's racially motivated. There's no way around it, right? But every day, okay, and here's what I'm trying to get at. Every day here in America, 321 people are shot. 321 people. 111 of those people are shot and killed. 210 survive the gunshot injury. Every day here in America. 95 are intentionally shot by someone else and survive. Okay? So, of the 321 people who were shot, of the 95 who were shot intentionally that day, why do we pick this one to blow out into the news? Are you telling me of the 95 other ones, there is no other white shooting a black?
I'm sure there was.
So why do we go and blow this one up?
I just think more of the circumstances. Me and you have an altercation in a Home Depot. That makes more sense why Kent shot Phil.
Okay.
If I'm picking up my siblings, I get shot in the arm and the head, and I survive for ringing the wrong doorbell. It's a little bit of a story.
Okay, so let's fast forward to the next day. We fast forward to the next day. 321 more people here in America are shot. 95 intentionally shot.
Right.
And we choose to put out into the news
what you sent me.
We pulled into the wrong driveway. However, it didn't say white guy shoots car full of white people in the wrong driveway. It was just Julie killed for turning around in the driveway.
It was not just Julie. It was poor Julie was shot. And I know her family personal. They come from good lineage. They're amazing people. I, as the police officer, know their family
Mhm.
personally, and this is
She
a
was a
tragedy.
saint, yes.
She was a saint, sweet,
Yeah.
sweet girl.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, none of the things that we heard in the first case.
We didn't hear color
We
in this one, but we made her to be a saint.
Right. Even when the kid, you can clearly tell, like, he's not a troublemaker type kid.
An honor student in the band, the whole works.
But we in our statement, that was not covered.
No, it wasn't.
The quality of a great kid and wouldn't harm a fly.
No. What was covered was the riots, the protests, right?
Of course.
That's what was covered, right? It wasn't how good this kid was and holy shit, right?
Right.
But what we said is white man shoots black kid in Kansas City, riots happened. That's where it went and how fast it went. Right?
That's what they led with?
Yeah, right. That's how fast it went.
Because then we make the focus the riots. I can make the innocent the bad guy. I can make it look bad that you're upset that we can shoot you and not have to go to jail. Because he didn't even go to jail.
No, they took him and then let him go.
No. What? Because it happened on my post, and the guy was like, "Well, he turned himself in days later because of how big of a deal it was. It wasn't like
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes, you're correct. So it like happened on Friday, and he went in on Sunday or something,
like Monday. But like, it wasn't like you know what?
Right.
I did something bad.
It wasn't like, holy shit.
Let me follow the police department. I'll just go ahead and turn myself in because I did something wrong.
Right.
It was, man, this is really getting on national news.
Yeah.
I should probably just make it easier on myself and then plead not guilty because he's free today.
MHM. Is that what it says? MHM?
Mm-hmm.
Bree says MHM.
MHM is
Okay. The NBC headline for Kaylin Gillis was what we know about the killing of the New York woman who was shot after pulling into the wrong driveway. True. I heard about the riots. Then the root of them. Yeah, that's what I mean, right? And by the way, she's got a quick name, right? The killing of a New York woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for pulling in the wrong driveway. No race, no color, nothing like that. Now let's fast forward to the next day. 321 more people shot, 95 shot intentionally, and we choose the basketball rolled into the driveway or the neighbor's yard. Neighbor shoots 6-year-old girl and family. You didn't see the link I sent?
I haven't seen that one.
I sent you a link.
Oh my God.
To which we then see the shooter's mugshot.
What?
Poorly lit. Look at poorly lit in a hoodie.
Oh God. Okay. So I know who the shooter is.
I'm laughing because I'm sad and you can't make this up.
The menacing lighting with the hoodie. You know what the hoodie means? Jail.
All right, listen. I'm just let me. I'm gonna show you what I sent you. Let me.
That's what hoodie means.
Because you got to see it. I'm not making this up. Okay.
So the one shooter doesn't even have one shooter has to turn himself in days later. The other one's is apprehended immediately, and his mugshot, not a riot, is what
was not apprehended immediately. Geez, what in the blue?
Looking at it now. This is real life. Was this another 300 shootings before the cheerleader?
Suspect. Now this is CNN.
Okay.
All right. Suspect who allegedly shot 6-year-old neighbor and her parents in North Carolina has been apprehended in Florida.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
that mugshot.
Right now, I didn't read the whole thing, but again, now that was in Georgia. That was a black on black crime, right?
Okay.
But again, now if we roll back to Ralph Yarl, and God love him, he's at home recovering. So God love the kid, right?
Wait.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, out of the 321 shootings,
Yeah.
why was that one the one? Because it's a youth, and if we can show that African Americans harm youth, and oh my God,
Well,
another shooting where they're
two, right? African Americans and pew-pews.
shooting
Pew-pews.
children,
Yeah.
then oh my God, this needs to be stopped. Now
Yeah.
we're going to skip the fact that it happened with Ralph Yarrow. That's a child.
Yeah.
The focus should be
and Nate, thank you, man. Nate, you and I are vibing because really that's I'm changing our theme song to this because I was jamming on this all week because I'm trying to wrap my head around it. He's like, you know what's absolutely crazy? Tupac's song Changes was made in October of 98, and everything he talks about in that song is still relevant today. Blows me away every time I hear it. Yeah, I've listened to that song literally 10 times this week because I'm like, he's a prophet, bro. I mean, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, come on. And that's what I want our theme song to be now. Just like, man.
I know that we don't stereotype, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things I've noticed in my research living in Crystal Lake, when white people talk about Tupac songs, why does Changes connect with y'all so much? Out of the whole Tupac catalog, when you talk to my white friends about Tupac, they're like, "Oh, bro, Changes."
No, I like Mama too. I mean, I loved all Tupac. I got a station on Pandora with him. Right?
Ask what's your favorite Tupac song? Oh, bro, Changes.
Yeah. No, the only reason is because that song came to my mind, and I've just had to dig into it this week because it doesn't make sense what is going on, right?
It doesn't.
I mean, it does.
It's a great song. It's a great song.
It's obvious
he's on, right. But I just how much.
So the question is, why did we choose, when I say we, the media, I'm part of the media, why did we choose hashtag Ralph Yarl? Well, of the 95 people shot that day intentionally, why did we choose that one? And why did we choose to report that there were riots, or protests, right? Described as protests. And they weren't riots. They're not rioting. They were peaceful protests. There were people who were very, very upset that 84-year-old guy was not arrested immediately, right? Now they couldn't get some short person just walked in.
Oh,
it's Scott. He left his jacket. So he wasn't arrested immediately. Now I can take. Let me take this stance. We couldn't get a statement from Ralph, so we really don't know what happened. That's why we can't arrest him, because we really don't know what happened.
Even with evidence? I've just seen other people arrested for less.
Okay. Yeah.
So with less evidence, with less probable cause, less severe crimes. So I just don't understand why he wasn't arrested.
Yeah.
Now I would say a reason why it could be highlighted is because if we know that we didn't arrest him, we know that with the tension that there is in the country, there's a great chance it's going to lead to a peaceful protest / riot. And now we can spin it on the riots versus the actual crime.
And we just want to thank Nate and SG3 for throwing out some of the lyrics, spitting lyrics.
It just hits. They can't help themselves.
Gotta love it.
That's what I'm saying.
God love it. Right. So, and Tupac, thanks for listening. Love you, bro. Up there or in Puerto Rico,
wherever you're listening from.
Yeah, with your dreads now. Anyway, that's a whole different. That's a whole different bridge to cross. So why, Phil? Why hashtag Ralph Yarl?
So I have a question though. Here's the flip side, and this is a question that was posed to me by a friend. He said, And with the shooter being out pleading not guilty, so he already posted a $200,000 bond somehow, and then pleaded not guilty.
Yeah. So what's that? 20,000.
Twen-
Right. Old man.
And fixed income, just got 20 grand just in
Yeah,
case.
just got her.
But
A 32 caliber.
Good
Lord.
Make it make sense. I don't know if you know this. Like this country, there's a holiday in October, Halloween, where a lot of kids ring doorbells.
Don't come around here.
And which if you're concerned about a peaceful protest, then you're going to call it a riot.
Yeah.
If they're
Now,
it's a bad setup for what happens if tables have turned, and now Timmy rings Deshaun's doorbell, who is the uncle of Ralph, and he don't want nobody come around here either.
Yeah, and I mean now we're into the Hatfields and McCoys.
Now we're in that. But you just told me I'm allowed, and let's say he only lives in the town over. Does the same thing in the same state with the same laws.
No, I get it.
You think that he'll have a 72-hour window?
I get it. So I think it's if I ask why #Ralph and I'm happy and I'm blessed for that family. That he's home, he's doing well, right? That the young man did not die. However, I'm sad because this kid who could be the next president, who could be the next, Tesla maker, now has to worry every time he goes to, I mean, he's PTSD, bro. Hey, you mind come? No, I do mind.
Mm-hmm.
Can you sweep the house for me, please? I can't come in through the front door. Why? Well, because I get shot when so this kid, with all the blessings, that God's given him, and miraculously the blessing that God is still raining down on this young man because he's alive at a point blank 32 caliber to the face and arm,
and like functioning.
He's a special kid. However, for the rest of his life, even when he gets older, he hears his doorbell ring. That front door is not a fun thing, right? For the rest of this poor kid's life, right?
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
I'm gonna actually, for the first time on this show, take your stance.
Yeah,
he can't do that because then he's playing the victim. He can't have real life experience and then for the rest of his life adjust due to those experiences. Now, what I'm allowed to do, not as this one, but as this one, is I'm allowed to be afraid of stuff, even though I've never had a personal run-in or harm done or anything that confirms my prejudices. But he's not allowed to have a bad experience where real life bad things happen to him and adjust and be afraid or concerned for the rest of his life.
Now, his family, if you've dug into this again from Africa and come over, and they are now, I believe they're citizens. I may be stepping on line, but I believe they're citizens. But they're like, we left a country because of all this.
They're not violence. They're not allowed to be upset,
and now we're here, and it's no better than.
They're not allowed to be frustrated. Yeah. If they are, they're the angry black family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with a weird accent.
Weird accent. And if they don't like it, they can
all you people.
And if they don't like it, they can go back. Is what we will tell them. Yeah, is what we will tell them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, my first thought, in my honest, and when I heard it, I'm like, I've got to dig into this. I sent you a picture. I sent you a picture of the neighborhood. I went right. I'm like,
you're right.
Because it's 115th Ave and a difference between 115th Street. Now, if you're from the Chicagoland area, 115th Ave and 115th Street, that brings about an inner city feel. If you're in Iowa, 115th Ave, you're out in the middle of a cornfield.
Nice.
Right. So for perspective, I'm like, before I can draw anything, was this inner city gangland? Was this white suburbia? And it was white suburbia.
White.
Very right. I mean, it looks like Crystal Lake, McHenry, very nice neighborhood. Bi-level houses, 2 stories. nice yards.
Right.
I mean, not where
you would expect
to get shot in the face opening a door or knocking on one. Okay. So, so here, and I will say this and continue to say this and continue to say this. It was absolutely 100% racially driven. Okay. You don't come around here. Okay. Now, we've said this on this show before. That 84-year-old man is not going to see things any differently than what he has been brought up to see
right.
at 84 years old. Okay. But that 16-year-old boy who was a victim of this violence now has to look at it through a lens that's
not allowed to.
I understand, but he has to, right? That's the truth. Now, if you ask me,
the old man is just one bad apple, Kent.
Yeah, one bad apple ruins a bushel, though.
That's not what we say.
So if you ask me, the series of events in 3 different days with 3 similar isn't
cheerleader. The cheerleader who got in the wrong car, then got back.
Oh, that's right. So 4,
and then the guy was able to shoot at a car full of kids and hit the black cheerleader.
Yeah, that's right. So 4 isn't about race, but we led some of the headlines with race. It's about a narrative for the pew-pews, right? And how do we keep people scared? Okay. Unfortunately, these played out exactly the way that we have said over the last few years that it plays out, right? Beautiful white angelic girl in a car full of people turning around. Guy shoots them. That guy put in jail immediately. But we don't learn about that guy.
He was put in jail immediately?
Yeah.
Man.
New York, different laws as Kansas City, right?
No, that's what it is.
Old white guy. Not well, it's a weekend. Let's get through the weekend, fellas.
Let me enjoy my weekend.
And then we'll worry about this.
It gives Ahmaud Arbery vibes.
Literally.
Right?
Literally.
I'm allowed to shoot a person and then I get a chance to just come in whenever I feel like it.
Literally. Okay. And then the basketball rolling into the yard, that brother ran. I mean, they found him, right? He was like, oh, Nikes.
So he wasn't able to just chill for the weekend?
He couldn't chill for the weekend. He wasn't going to stick around to see if he could. with due cause, right?
I feel like he knew.
I mean,
that shooting a child doesn't allow you to chill out for the weekend.
I'm a little bit dyslexic, but I'm sure that TAWS showed up. TAWS. Tell you what, and he probably knew it. It's like exit stage left,
right?
And then I don't know. I didn't dig into the cheerleader. So what?
The man was arrested.
Was it a white fellow?
I believe so.
Yeah. So,
but it was more like got into the wrong car, got out of the car. I'm now in the car with you. This guy, I guess, I don't know, was in the gas station, whatever, saw shoots in our car.
Yeah. I don't get it. Oh, I get it, but I don't understand. Nate says, in my honest opinion, the color war we see and have always seen will never go away. I believe the media stirs the pot to grab people's attention to distract us from other real world issues. They would never want us to get along and finally get past the issues we have as people, because then they have nothing to report. They have nothing to distract the people, and they just use hate and violence to get everyone all crazy. Okay, so I appreciate your opinion. I don't believe that it's the media.
Right.
It's a way of life in America. And it's not everybody, right? I mean, we're not generalizing. We're just saying the same story has been written for a long, long time here in the sea to shining sea.
Right. It was done before media.
Yeah.
But okay, so we've had this conversation before, and Nate, I don't think that you're wrong, right? I
Right.
feel though, if me and the three of us know that the media is doing this, right? The media is going to post certain things, but you still say certain derogatory things towards me, or when I'm at a chamber event, Kent still makes slight jabs because of my color. That's not media.
No.
You guys are in control of what you're saying or how you're acting towards me, or if you grab your wallet if I pass by, or you got to do a weird, whatever the case may be. That's y'all. That's not media. And on the flip side, if all of a sudden I just don't trust white people because of a news article, then that's not. I have that choice. I have that choice to be like, well, whatever this news article says, Nate's still cool.
Mm-hmm.
Kent's still family. And that's where I feel like at a certain point we have to stop necessarily just blaming media and understand that we're all functioning adults, whatever level we function at.
Right.
We're functioning adults that have the opportunity to pick and choose how we treat people.
So in the Civil War, 508 people died a day in the Civil War. It was from 1861 to 1865. It's a little piece of history for you today.
He's on it.
Okay. So that's cool. All right. Today, okay, as I said, now I went to the bradyunited.org. Okay. I didn't go to the CDC. So Brady, if you remember, he was the bodyguard that was shot, Ronald Reagan, right? And then the Brady Law came out. So this is his organization. So it's bradyunited.org. And this is a 5-year average. So this is from 2015 through 2019. So we don't even know the last 4 years. Okay. From what I got. So when I'm saying 321 people are shot in the United States, that was a 5-year average.
Okay.
111 people die. So 504 people died every day in the Civil War. And we're like, oh, this is Civil War. We have 111. And this is just from pew violence. This isn't knifing. This isn't right. This isn't running you over with my car because you're at a parade.
Right.
You know, this is just pew violence.
Man,
right.
Right.
And what 111 people are shot and killed. 95 are intentionally shot by someone else and survive.
Pat, elaborate.
Right. So yeah, Pat, welcome in, and Patrick says, "Show me more stories about home invasions." Yep, help. Before I can talk about that, give me an idea of what you're looking for. Are you referring to the hashtag Ralph Yarl that was a home invasion? I don't want to put words in your mouth. That's why I'm saying go a little deeper on that. Hey, Jerry, years and years of learned behavior passed from generation. We try to raise our children to be better for the future. We hope that all people feel the same way, to judge people individually and not as a class in general. I agree. However, there is still that segment here in the United States, and I can only speak for the United States because, again, I've never been outside the United States. There is still that segment who does raise their children to see that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, like for instance, and Jerry's one of the nicest people. If you guys don't know, Jerry is one of the top 5 nicest people I've ever met in my life. But like we've talked about this, like certain people can be raised a certain way.
Yeah.
Years and years of being raised a certain way, and then that's just how we got here. Now we don't trust black people. Cool.
Yeah.
Being a kid who was kind of raised in the South, though, I hear horror stories from like uncles and grandparents who like can't make eye contact with white folks when white folks talk to you and all this other stuff. But like, again, I would not be allowed to say this is generational teaching. This is just how I was brought up, to not trust white people. So why is it okay on this side? Well, Pat said horrible things.
Well, I don't
about
think it's right. I don't.
But like what
right.
I'm saying, like, and I don't think Jerry thinks it's right either.
Right.
But like when I have these conversations, it's almost like the default response is, well, this is just how it was brought up, or I had a racist grandparent or whatever.
Right. So this gentleman, this 84-year-old racist gentleman,
right?
Let's just label him like it is. Born in 1939. Okay. So you can imagine the upbringing. You can imagine, right? And that was 84 years ago, you know. You can imagine what his grandpa, you know, would have been born in the 1800s, right? So this is absolutely a racist,
right?
Yeah, and they still exist, right? And it's not okay, but we have to understand, as we said, if we want to change this whole narrative, if we want to change things, we have to start with kids, right? And this old crotchety Nazi type guy is not going to change.
Okay,
right? It unfortunately he went there. Now, I think, you know, as I said, this young man's been blessed beyond belief by God, and hashtag Ralph Yarrow could change the world.
I'm with that. But what I'm saying is, so we will say that the 84-year-old guy, the white guy with a grandfather who, right? But if it's an 84-year-old black guy with a grandfather who was stopped at traffic lights by the KKK or told to get out of his car or called boy until he was 90 years old, that 84-year-old black dude is not allowed to shoot through a door for white kid trick or treats and then be able to stay out for the weekend and enjoy his day, and then be like, well, how I was brought up is to not trust white folk on your property. Like, it just wouldn't work the same. And so I don't think that allowing him the freedom of not going to jail for that, like, really shows there's consequences for this thought process. If we're trying to eradicate the thought process, it still kind of demonstrates it's cool to kill black people.
Yes.
That's the like when you see at this point, it was like, watch, he'll either get away scot-free or he won't have to check in, and boom, he's still got a chance to enjoy the weekend.
So it's fair to say the interpretation of the law is not the same for everybody here in America. Okay. So I can take one Alec Baldwin out. Thank you for listening. I can take one Alec Baldwin who 2 years ago killed a person on a set and wounded another, and who now all charges have been dropped against Alec Baldwin, who shot and killed. So involuntary manslaughter charges. However, the person who was in charge of the gun, the charges have not been dropped. So now we're making precedent that doesn't matter if you pull the trigger, white rich guy.
Whoever handed
you the gun is at fault now. So the interpretation of the law is not the same for everybody here in America. So I could rest here on my pinkness, right? And say, well, we didn't have a statement from the young man, so legally we couldn't arrest because we didn't know if he had broken enter, or we just have the old white guy who says, I don't know, he came into my house, right? So without the young man's statement, right? Now, thank God Ralph is fine. Thank God, right? And for several reasons, because now we know the true story. Had he passed, guess what? Right? He broke into my house. Why would he be out here other than to steal something?
So, but even with that, how can I tell the police he broke into my house? Ralph recovers, says, no, I was on your doorstep. And then I'm able to go scot-free and then just, hey, listen, I'm not guilty.
Stood my ground, plead
not guilty.
Yeah. And it would have happened. I mean, that's why I say, thank God that he's like, no, I didn't even cross the threshold. The door didn't even open. He shot through the glass.
But if I'm a detective and there's bullet holes through, yeah,
there's a barbecue I had to get to. Family outing. My kid had a soccer game. We'll get to it.
then he wasn't inside of the.
Oh my God, I'm off the clock.
Leave your statement with the new guy.
Yeah. Nate says everything can be going good, and people start getting along. And as soon as an article comes out saying white man kills black man, everyone goes crazy. We don't see people going crazy when white guy kills white guy or black guy kills black guy. That's the part I blame on the media.
But it's not that we get upset when white guy kills black guy. That's the misconception, right? And even if you look at it, they'll flip it to like, okay, well, now we're just upset about it, and now there's a riot. The part that there is a riot, the part that there's a frustration is the white guy gets away with it. It's not that Correct. It just happened. Correct. It's not that it's the part that people aren't as aggressively pursuing it when a white guy kills a black youth as they would if a black guy killed a white youth. Yeah, white kills white. No one makes a big deal. And even if it's a higher percentage or just as high as percentage as black on black, no one speaks about that. But the part that's frustrating is we can watch a white guy kill a black dude who's jogging and he gets 4 months before he has to turn himself in because the heat turned up on him. We'll watch officer after officer get less than 2 years charged for killing black youth, right? That's the part that's frustrating is because I know if I kill Jamal, I'm going to jail. But if you kill Jamal, you get paid leave. That's the part that's frustrating.
Jerry says, can the children have an independent thought of their parents? Very, very hard to do, but might be necessary to close the gap and to come together as people. Yeah, right. And that's why I say it's about that, right? I can't relate to Phil's examples 100%, but I can try to move on from my parents' thoughts and grandparents' thoughts. If I digest the facts and make my own decisions, very, very hard to do, but it is important for all people to be better. Yeah. So, but the other thing that I will say is, a good house, church, community is built on a strong foundation.
Right.
Right. So to that point is here in America, and I'm again only speaking for America, from my 53 years of experience and through the eyes of a white guy, I tan well. But I just want to lay that out there. And playing the white person on this show
right.
Is historically, and I'm not going to use the word systemic, I'm just saying historically, if you take a look at this great nation, there are a lot of subliminal.
What?
It is a great nation. And listen, I am proud to be an American. I am absolutely 100% proud to be American. If I wasn't, I'd live someplace else. Right? It is a great nation. Okay. Are we messed up? Absolutely. My family's messed up, but I come from a great family. Right? I mean, we're all dysfunctional.
That's what it feels like.
We're all dysfunctional. Right?
That's what it feels like.
But listen, I still get moved at the national anthem. Okay.
Me too.
I say it with pride. All right. And you have the freedoms to say, hey, if it's not a great nation, why are you here? There's a lot of other great nations throughout the world, right? You can go to Singapore, which is the most unracist country in America or in the world, not America, right? What's that? Can't do bubble? Well, you can't sell it. You should, but you can't sell it, right? So I will fight, and my son fights for the right for you to feel the way you feel about this nation. But I'm telling you, I think it's a great nation, and I'm proud to be an American, right? But there are subliminal things that have happened through history that our parents don't teach us. I grew up in Burlington, Iowa. 50, 60,000, 40 to 60,000, right? And like a wagon train, like right on the Mississippi River, like a wagon train around the outside of downtown. It's really where all the white people live. And in the downtown is really where all the black people live. Now, I didn't see that growing up, right? Nor was there a bad part of town because of I was involved with sports and loved everybody, whatever. That's who I am. But nor was there a quote unquote bad part of town. But you're always like, well, no, I'm going over to Darby's house. Well, I didn't have to skirt around the outside of town to get to Darby's house. Right. I'm going over to Michael's house. Well, yep, I had to skirt. I could stay on the outskirts of town. Right. So there are things that are out there subliminally, just the way that it's been done historically, year after year after year, which you go, ooh, now that you look back at it. Right. So there's training. There is that bleed of history that says, I'm not going to say classes. I'm not going to say, colors, right?
Redlining.
Yeah. It was called redlining, but you can take a look at the way some towns are put together, right? And there you have it. Okay. Now, what I would say is we focus so much on an incident. Again, why did we choose this one incident out of the 95 that day? And then why did we choose one incident the next day of this precious New York woman who got shot in a car turning around? Why did we choose
to dilute the first one?
Okay. I'm just of the 95 that were meant to shoot at somebody. 321 people again die a day in America from gunshot.
Because then we can say it happens to us too. And dismiss the first one.
Okay. Why did we choose Ralph Yarrow? Why did we choose her? Why of those 95, I'm guessing there was a percentage where there was more white on black, right? So again, you got to take a look at the narrative, and then immediately following the next day, the narrative, and then immediately following the next day, a narrative, right? To say, oh, it's not just white on black. Oh, here's a white on white. Oh, here's a black on black. Oh, here's a,
So, like, okay, with reading Nate's one, the bottom.
History repeats itself. That one.
Yep.
History repeats itself. Look back at the past. White police officer kills black man. Riots start and people go nuts. Fast forward years later, same thing. Riots start and people go crazy. That doesn't actually fix anything. It's just a never-ending cycle.
Okay, so we're talking about the narrative, right? Mm-hmm. We have white guy kills black kid, gets to spend the weekend doing whatever he wants to. We have white guy kills white girl, goes to jail. Black guy kills black kid, goes to jail.
Mm-hmm.
So again, Nate, it's not just that white police officer kills black man. It's because we know he's not going to jail like that. We know he's getting paid leave. We know that we'll make this kid in Kenosha a patriot for killing people. That's where, like, I know that it's easy to look at white kills black riot. However, if you really pay attention to those trials, you'll see where me and Kent had this conversation. I said, look, 90 days down the road, you'll see this guy gets released. 90 days later, he's released. Hey, watch within a year of this. Watch within a year of this sentence, her time is going to get drastically reduced. The lady who shot the black man in Dallas went from 5 years to 8 months somehow. Mm-hmm. That's where you're starting to see the riots. It's not just because
it's magically delicious.
White kills black. It's not. This sounds bad, but like that's going to happen. Like that part is the shock value has kind of disappeared. The frustrating part is now that you still at first it was like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Now it's happening so often that you're numb to it. Now we're saying, hey, listen, this thing that you said didn't happen. We're showing you how frequently it happened. But you're ignoring the fact how often when it happens, this person gets off scot-free. This person just gets a slap on the wrist. That's where you're seeing the riots, bro. It's not just because white kills black. That part's been going on for years. It's just even with camcorder proof, well, sometimes the body cams work,
if it's on,
or with a random person catching it on camera, like the Ahmaud Arbery, these people are still getting off scot-free. So historically, look back, that's where you're seeing the frustration from.
So let's play with that. History repeats itself. Look back at the past. White police officer kills black. Riots. Okay, start. People go crazy. That's how this great nation was founded. I rioted.
Riots.
I rioted. Oh, there's a whole thing we love, the Boston Tea Party riot. We absolutely love riots, and that's how we can sit in silence, we can hold a picket, we can do whatever, but until we link arms and walk across a bridge, right? Now you're disruptive. Now, wait a minute.
You guys can't do what we do.
Because I want to take a stance, I take a knee.
I don't like that either.
Now I'm un-American. Now I'm right, and so history does repeat itself. Okay, well, hey, no more slavery. Well, that's what we want to believe, that's what caused the Civil War, but look into it a little bit deeper, right? And all of a sudden, hey, emancipation, proclamation, everybody's equal. When? Right, so history does repeat itself, and yes, Jerry's like, hey, I tan well.
Even with this though, right?
Hey, Drew,
if you're watching, it's like white officer kills black man, riots. Hey guys, rioting is not the problem. All of a sudden, rioting became the focal point of that. Versus, why is the police officers killing black people at such a alarming rate?
Black officers killed men in Memphis. They go right to jail. They didn't get paid leave.
They didn't get paid leave.
But they did get a nice mugshot in hoodies. Not in their police uniforms.
Okay.
Never mind. I'm sorry. What? Maybe I saw that wrong.
All right. Read Nate's.
So Nate says, what do the riots do? Damage the community and hurt people. What I'm trying to say is people don't know how to handle the issue, so they just go crazy and riot. Riots don't fix anything, so people need to find new ways to try and fix issues.
Nate, bro, you're doing it, right? You're acting like the riots just popped off for no reason, and you're ignoring the root of the problem, right? You're doing the part where you're focusing on the reaction to injustice versus the injustice. Riots aren't just spontaneously combusting. If you're looking at it, they only happen when injustice is done and then no justice follows up. So if we're so concerned about if I was in your shoes, if I didn't want these riots so much, then I would hold people accountable who kill minorities. I wouldn't let them have the weekend free. I wouldn't give them paid leave. I challenge you. Watch where white police officer kills black man, gets arrested immediately, gets sentenced to the same time that I would get if I killed Jamal. There probably won't be a riot there. But what we can't do is be very, very frustrated.
Go back to black officers in Memphis kill black men. What about the white guy who tased them? Where did he go? He was like Homer Simpson. He rolled back into the bushes.
You didn't hear about this dude.
You didn't hear about him, did you?
You don't hear about this
dude. But then somebody's like, "Hey, wait, who's this guy?" They're like, "Oh,
right."
Billy.
But it's just amazing that we'll make the focal point the riot, just like how we were just talking about on this show a minute ago. Like, it's crazy that they talked about the riots first before how it actually popped off. Like, why are we so focused on the riot aspect? Even if it is a peaceful protest, we'll still call it a riot. Or even if the riots only kicked off by people who aren't even African Americans.
Right.
You got to pick one, bro. If you really don't want them that bad, try sentencing the people who kill minorities at the same level that you convict minorities who kill minorities. And you won't see a riot if you're really trying to stop them as much as you claim you are.
Yeah. So, like Sale says, and our good friend Tupac, the prophet, we've been in there, right? Let's change the way we eat. Let's change the way we live, and let's change the way we treat each other. See, the old way isn't working. So it's us. It's up to us to survive, right?
I don't think they're reading into that, though. When people are trying to survive, it gets a lot worse than a riot.
Right.
So if we don't like the way the old way is working,
So Nate says, if the government makes me angry, then I'll just join the riots. Perfect outlet for injustice. But let me also break the law and join the injustice. Uh, well, there. I mean, yes. No further questions, Your Honor. Right. Drew says, why don't we see white man save black kid man? This also happens every day. It's a good point.
We should, and we've asked
a
for
good
that.
point.
We talked about having police officers on the show. We've said, man, we would love to have this conversation, but sometimes a wall of silence.
Right.
We would love for them to be able to do more outreach in inner city to stop this. I don't want that view to be every little black kid thinks the police officers are only there to hurt them.
So
we called for that.
So Bree says, race aside, and I agree, because that's where I think this whole thing started, and just the dominoes that the media chose to fall in the past 7 days is, what about gun violence as a whole? What are the next steps? Well, and here's what I'll say is, in Singapore, Gary was on earlier. Our good friend Gary from Singapore was on earlier, and there was 2 kids that took a BB gun or an airsoft gun into a store as a joke. They were arrested. Right? You can't have guns unless you're in the military or in the police in Singapore, and it's the death penalty if you shoot somebody. There's no questions. It's the death penalty. Now, he said his brother was on the police force for a long time, for over like 15 years or something. Never had to draw his weapon once, right? So it does work. Now, we roll into, this country. It was built on the Constitution. I think is a brilliant piece of work. Okay, now it's the translation again of that, and what does it mean, and whatnot. Now, you have a constitutional right in the United States to own a firearm. Okay, you have that constitutional right. I don't own a firearm. I guess I got a BB gun to shoot like woodpeckers or
right,
little snakes or something. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Right. Anyway. But again, and I've had, and I want you to understand, I've had a gun pointed at my face, point blank. Okay. And it's scary. But with gun violence, what's the next steps? The next steps is we have to stop the different interpretations of the law, right? So if it's get down on the ground, tase, shoot. For Phil, it's got to be the same for me. You can't have that misinterpretation of the law. If anything's to change, it has to start with the law and that interpretation of. Without that, it doesn't matter. Nothing will change. Why? Because Phil, the SWAT surrounds Phil's house. He was standing his ground, and they either kill him or take him in very forcefully.
There's not a very high percentage chance of getting
They come to my house and go, "Oh, Mr. Jones, it looks like you shot somebody." I was standing my ground. That kid came into my house. All right, listen, go about your day. We'll go talk with the kid.
We'll let you
He's
know.
On life
we'll let you know if we need you.
Yep, we'll let you know. The interpretation of the law, right? Don't worry, Mr. Baldwin. You're not at fault. It's the person who gave you the gun who's at fault.
Certain people don't see that.
He's not. He doesn't make as much as you, so you know what I'm saying. You good? Just give me tickets, right? You spoke poorly about Jewish people. Let's go through some training. Oh, you spoke poorly about Jewish people. You have the right to do that.
You spoke poorly about minorities. We give you a raise.
Right. So until the balance of law, right, the scales, that scale, until they're not like this, until they're maybe like this level, I mean, nothing's really going to change, because that interpretation is always going to be lopsided. until it isn't lopsided, and they go, I don't care how much money, you killed somebody, whether you meant to or not, you killed somebody,
Right.
right? Um, that's at that point that with gun violence, it's going to continue to happen. There are 16 school shootings every year here in America. You know how many school shootings since Columbine, or actually since 1965 when Singapore became a nation? You know how many school shootings? Zero. Okay. So, and until we're able to say, well, I guess I won't let the money rule the system. Until then, I don't know if it'll ever change. I mean, the next steps are hunker down, man. Right?
Right.
I guess. I don't know. Am I saying that wrong? I don't know.
No, you're right. As the last comment.
All right, then we got a jog, but I just don't see it. He says I don't see all the concept on how you think it's okay. People getting killed and getting away with it is not okay. Nobody said it was. I don't think, right? Destroying things with riots and also is also not okay. I was raised two wrongs don't make anything right. If they killed my family member and got away with it, so I get a group and riot. What makes me better than the people that got away with it? Now I'm acting out in a negative way to try and make a point. I don't think it's right. What are they supposed to do? Would you rather people not get frustrated and riot? Now there's idiots and things happen, and you know what? Here's the whole thing. Let's go to Kenosha, right? Where we let this kid walk around with AR-15. We were upset, and watch it come back better and stronger. Sometimes you got to burn something down to make it better.
Right.
I
still just struggle with the fact that we're going to focus more on people that are retaliating versus the initial root of the cause, and it's just I feel it's amazingly convenient for you to ignore that part, Nate. I feel that's unfortunate, man, because what you're doing is you're allowing it to happen. Nowhere have I ever said two wrongs, make a right. And, I'm sorry that you misinterpreted that way. However, a continual pattern of allowing individuals to kill other individuals without reprimanding them, that's not okay. And again, if it was these riots just popped off because of a one-off, then I can kind of see what you're talking about. But with thousands and thousands and thousands of instances, and if I kneel that I'm wrong, if I sit that I'm wrong, if I boycott that I'm wrong, no matter what I do that I'm wrong, I would kindly ask you, since you want to talk historically, find me a time where minorities have been able to voice themselves or protest, and white America has said they're cool with it. So we've failed, adjusted, and this is just where people are at because there's no pressure on the other side to actually fix the problem. So I understand that it's very easy for you to identify the symptoms. However, if you want to get to the root of the cause, you should hold them just as accountable as we would if we killed our own. That's the issue.
So here's how we do it. So I feel like a lot of people are so defensive about their right to bear arms that it's hard to have a conversation on the topic to better our reality. So much goes into the politics of guns. Now, that's what the bridge is all about. And here's what I'll say with anything. We have to, as a nation, get out of I'm going to try to make you believe like I believe, instead of having a conversation and me understanding where you're coming from. When it changes is when I can openly have a conversation without trying to get you to sway or debate to come to my side.
Right.
I have to be able to have a conversation with somebody that says, I don't get it. I haven't lived in your shoes. I have never experienced that. Doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. It's just that I have never experienced that. And until we can start having conversations with people, instead of trying to prove a point, but just to let me understand where you're coming from, that's when change happens.
Right.
That's it. Period. Done. No, we know, Nate. you know, we know you don't have any anger towards, just, you know, I just really do enjoy having conversations like this. Nate, you're a lot like me. You are a brilliant thinker, and I am too. But you like to poke the bear. I know who you are, and you like to challenge authority as well, right? So sometimes your stance can come across as you're not open-minded, and I appreciate that. However, the truth of the matter is, until we can have those, this is what bridging civil tension's all about, is come together and let's have a conversation, not a debate, not I'm going to try to make you think like me, not that I'm right, you're wrong.
Right.
But let me walk with you for a bit in your shoes to understand.
But I have to be willing to walk with you. If I'm just going to sit here with my eyes closed and sit down,
Right.
then I'm not really making an effort either.
Right.
If I'm just going to say, I don't see it, then all right, am I trying to see it?
Right. Are we open enough? And Bree, I think that's where it comes in. And until we start cherishing human life the way we should, I don't know if any of that kind of violence goes away. Right. And it's sad. It's sad that 111 people die every day here in America. So if we're waiting for a civil war, maybe we're in one, because 111 people die every day from guns.
Right.
That's just guns.
When
That's
you
not baseball bats, crowbars.
When you allow people to start to believe they can get away with it, that's when you see more of it.
That's right.
So let's fix the root of the problem.
That's it. Hey, thanks for joining us. Listen, tonight, 8 o'clock, do not miss it. Take time. Join us. Dream Home Experts season 5 opener. They redid their studio. We got new experts. I mean, it is going to be off the chain. You have to join us tonight, 8 o'clock, for Dream Home Experts. It's going to be cool. Thanks for spending some time with us here this morning.
About 10:30.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, everybody, for chiming in. We absolutely love everybody. Nate, we love you. Bree, everybody out there. But the way we got to change is let's just have those conversations. So innovative strategies right around the corner.